Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3.
Welcome to another episode of Mic Check. I'm Norman Varney. In this episode, I interview J.R. Boisclair of WAM Engineering, or WallyTools. WallyTools are turntable, tone arm, cartridge alignment / optimization products that have been in my toolbox for decades. I first ran into WallyTools and the founder, Wally Malewicz, sometime in the late 1980s when I owned a high-end stereo shop in California. I've owned all the iterations of his products, and I've tried countless other alignment devices and always come back to WallyTools. Wally passed away in 2018, and JR stepped up to continue and grow the company. Wally would be really proud of what JR has done with the company and how he continues to blaze trails with research of record cutting and cartridge manufacturing and the optimization of vinyl playback to reveal more of the music and raise our level of enjoyment. JR and I can often be seen at trade shows sharing exhibitor space together. We know each other's products well, and we can cover for each other during seminars or lunch breaks, etc. We also enjoy talking shop. This last June 2025, at the show in Costa Mesa, I sat down after hours to ask JR what he's been up to, what he is doing now, and what he is planning for the future. How did you get into this business? And then tell me about the businesses, about the services and the products that you provide.
Oh, well, thank you, Norman. I got into this hobby in the 90s in college, and I met Wally in the mid-late 90s in Minneapolis, where at the time was home for me. And we built in him, I knew that there was somebody I could learn a lot from.
At a trade show or what?
Yeah, I met him through a mutual audiophile friend's home.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we built a relationship, and we got to the point where he asked, hey, would you like to be a production assistant and help me build some of my tools for me? Mm-hmm. He was starting to expand and go into speakers, and so I was doing the electrical work for him, modifying some amplifiers that he's putting into his powered bass amps, and something called a Wally analog shop, which was an electrical component.
I got one.
Yeah, you got one of those?
I'm sure you built it.
Yeah, I built it. Sure enough, I built that. He was, every time we would get together, it would be a long discussion, and I'd always be learning something.
Yep,
and
I loved hanging out with him.
He was a dear friend from whom I learned plenty.
Yeah.
And so when he passed away in 2018, I wasn't planning on taking the torch back up, but I was helping his son sort through his estate, and it occurred to me that, I knew what Wally had done, how he built his tools, and what was left undone and unstudied. And I asked his son, who's also a mechanical engineer, hey, are you interested in spinning this back up with me? And the rest is history. We've relaunched, and I never imagined it would be a full-time gig for me.
Right.
But here I am.
So he ended up being the backing as far as financial support?
No, we didn't need any financial support, really. There wasn't much in the way. Well, no, that's not true. He did do an initial small loan, which the company repaid him within like 8 months. Mm-hmm. But the fantastic value, his name is Andre Malewicz, and the fantastic value he brings to bear is, well, at the time he was the head of the largest research and development department for Medtronic, so a 200-person scientific unit. So he was the head of it, and all these engineers and scientists reported to him. So we had access to infrared spectrometry and electron microscopy, et cetera,
engineers.
Metallurgists, engineers of all stripes.
Yeah.
And he's moved on to a different company now, but we still have, through his connections, a lot of resources.
And that's near you in the Bay Area?
No, he lives in Minnesota.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm in the North Bay area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. All right. So tell me about some of the services and products.
Well, we offer an array of turntable optimization setup tools. And we do videos in all of them. We got a world of videos I'm sure we'll talk about. The products, we're developing the product line. You can expect to see more later this year. So products for the alignment of your stylus, alignment of your cantilever, managing forces in your tone arm. And we do a microscope that's designed to measure dynamic SRA and VTA, the first of its type. But the services, the service that keeps me busiest is the cartridge analysis service,
which is so cool.
Yeah,
and it's so unique.
Yes. So I've had several hundred cartridges sent to me for analysis in the lab, where we analyze the cartridge for its optimal 4 angles. And to learn more about those, you'd really have to watch the video and how we know what those angles should be. But we identify what's the error in each cartridge, each specific serial numbered cartridge.
And you're also keeping track of this, a database.
Oh yeah.
So you're looking for trends, and
we see the trends. We see where more problems lie. And so we give an opportunity. Then we create a corrective shim for each cartridge, because in most cases the tone arm will not be sufficient to attain the optimal angles. And so the corrective shim will take care of 3 of those 4 angles, and then the final 4 angle we will, fourth angle will accomplish using the Wally Zenith tool. It is surprising to note that 1 out of 8 cartridges don't even meet manufacturer specifications.
It's an amazing
which is sad.
statistic.
Yep, and some manufacturers are better than others. And those aren't my specifications.
Right.
Those are their specifications, or the specifications of the vendor that they purchased the parts from, right? For as much as you've heard me complain about how vertical tracking angles are, for example, way too high in this industry, only once have I ever suggested to a client that they do a warranty claim based on VTA. Principally because it can be, even when the manufacturer says that they have a 20-degree VTA, which they almost never do, it's just not, I just don't find, it's such a common problem. It's hard to,
it would create
a lot of friction if I held them to, even though they're claiming it and they're not delivering it by any stretch of the imagination. So when there is a warranty claim, it's a really obvious one that cannot be
denied.
Yes.
It can't be argued.
For which I'll provide all the proof.
So essentially, what's the percentage of cartridges that are not meeting spec?
1 out of 8. What is that? About 13% or so? Something like that. It's not good.
It's not good, and it doesn't matter where it's coming from or what the cost is.
No, it doesn't matter what the cost is. In fact, there was a recent manufacturer who will be unnamed that just had a new top-of-the-line cartridge that cost, I think, $14,000 or $15,000. So the first specimen was sent to me, and its zenith angle was off by 20.2 degrees. Now, the manufacturer that makes that stylus cantilever assembly for the cartridge company specifies plus minus 5 degrees. It was 4 times past the limit. The second cartridge of the same test, so we did a warranty claim. Second cartridge that was sent back to us, 9.9. We're waiting for the third. Both of those cartridges, by the way, instead of going back for the warranty claim, got sold to other customers who won't know, who won't know that the cartridge that they purchased should sound better than it does.
Is that a new worst, 22?
That's a new worst.
Okay, because I know I had a customer, expensive cartridge, had it analyzed. It was the best you had ever seen as far as zenith error.
On a number of the parameters, it was one of the best I've ever seen.
And then he damaged it, got another of the exact same model, and it was the worst.
It was one of the worst. It was one of the worst. Same model.
You just
same model.
Know.
Yes. That was amazing. You put it on a distribution curve. All of the cartridges, and that particular cartridge held the 2 tails. It's
interesting because, of course, for decades we're all thinking that we're all assuming tight tolerances, and these differences in what we're hearing is just system synergy or whatever, and no, it could be a number of things because this one is not like this one of the same model.
Yes. Yeah, I have to believe that even the cartridge manufacturers, who, by the way, don't measure for a lot of, certainly they don't measure for zenith air. Yeah. I know they don't because they tell me that, and I know that they don't because I can see it. Yeah. It's dead obvious, right? And they don't because it is very difficult to identify. Yes, identify zenith air, the microscope costs more than my car, and I hired 2 separate materials scientists to help me illuminate a transparent feature within a transparent feature.
Right.
And then how to measure it against something that's many hundreds of microns away.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't easy.
So in the audio industry, this is probably the worst as far as quality control, as far as tolerances and manufacturer spec compared to electronics, to speakers. I mean,
it might be. I don't know. I don't know what tolerances are like elsewhere, but for what we pay for these cartridges, we should be expecting more. Yeah. But the public doesn't know that. Well, the public doesn't know how bad it is. The public doesn't know what they're missing. Right. But when you hear it,
until you
will not give that
you
up.
don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, and
I know. So here you are. You don't know.
Yeah.
And you may be missing out a tremendous amount. and it still, what cracks me up though is that it can still sound really amazing.
Oh, it can. And that's important to emphasize.
Yeah.
That you can be perfectly misaligned and it still sounds good.
Yeah.
I will never deny that. That's a fundamental truth.
Yeah.
But it's also equally true that if you do not have that fine line contact stylus properly lined, it is simply physically impossible to read the groove faithfully.
Yeah.
It's mechanical transcription.
And it affects every sound quality parameter,
yes, it does.
So, yeah. Okay, so tell me more about what you're doing. Well, maybe, I don't know how much you want to go into it, but you are doing an awful lot as far as, what do we call it? Improving by going to those who are cutting the records and improving on tolerances there.
Yeah.
The end result we as consumers benefit from, and this is something that is new, that really hasn't been looked at. Gosh, you could say probably since maybe the 60s or so. I don't know.
I would say there was plenty of scientific work being done on mechanical transcription, cutting of records and retracing records, up until the early 80s. And then there's a dearth of scientific literature that's been put out after that. Mm-hmm. And now it's starting up again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In order to determine how to optimally orient the stylus and cantilever at playback, we had to go to the cutting rooms. Mm-hmm. We had to study cutter head design.
You got to go to the source.
Had to, yes.
Yeah.
So I've traveled as far away as Greece to visit J.I. Agnew and his building of his cutter heads and lathes, and just got done cutting lacquers in Berlin with Helmut Erler. We keep close with several other cutting engineers, recording engineers here in the States, including Adrian Morgan, and we're even close with Kevin Gray. Yes.
Yeah.
And they've been very keen about what we're discovering.
That's great.
Because they, when we ask them, when we ask them, what is this particular angle, what are you using? Mm-hmm. They'll tell us what they think it is, but they don't actually know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then we discovered from the very first research lacquer we had created for us, and the fellow who cut it for us knew very well the accuracy with which we needed to have this cut, geometric accuracy. We don't care about sound quality, we care about the geometric accuracy, which, when you're making a musical record, will impact the quality of that record. And we got back a number of errors that he didn't even know about, right? So we're able to then open some doors for the engineers.
Yeah.
Say, hey, well, look, here's this error that we found, and here's how it will impact playback quality, right?
Yeah.
This is the distortion characteristic. This is the area of the record that'll be most heard upon. This is what it sounds like.
Right.
Right. We need to be able to answer those questions.
Begin to focus on those problems. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that the end result is a better performance.
Yes, and you know the comment has been, well, you know, you focus so hard on optimizing the angles and the forces and the linear dimensions for playback, but they can screw things up at the time of cutting too. And the answer is absolutely they can, because we know that because we've seen it. But the degree to which they can err on any of the 4 angles, or the symmetry of the cutter head, the symmetry of the cutting stylus, or the cutting path, that's the lathe offset and such, the degree to which they can err is equally likely clockwise versus counterclockwise. So if you were to take, say, 1,000 cuts and tabulate the various parameters for error, and you would get a nice distribution curve.
Bell curve.
Yeah, where the bulk of them are cut right in the middle. So that defines on playback what we should be aiming for. We aim for what they aim for, even though they can miss it.
Yeah.
We know that they can benefit if we can bring if we can bring to them an ability to tighten up their tolerances.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's plenty of things that just haven't been researched yet either, which is why, you know, our first paper, which we're now finally writing after 2.5 years of research collection, data collection for AES on zenith error, which has never been studied before. And then when we're done with that, there's other things that have never been studied.
I thought you were going to call it yaw.
We are. Yeah.
Okay.
We are going to call it yaw. It's going to be stylus yaw error.
Yay!
Yes, because that's what it should have been called from day one. But I got to deal with the parlance now that was,
introduced by. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. All right. When you are listening to me, when you're evaluating a cartridge, for example, what kind of music are you playing? What are your favorites?
You mean when I'm doing subjective evaluation?
Yeah, subjective.
Yeah.
And then, so what are you listening to, and then what are you listening for?
Well, I certainly listen to masked strings. That will definitely be part of my repertoire. Those masked strings are really actually quite difficult to, in my opinion, to reproduce faithfully in all the tonal richness. It's, and I don't know if it has to do with the complexity of the groove geometry, what it takes to cut a groove with masked strings. I don't know why it is, but it seems to be a difficult one to lay down a track for. So I always will include masked strings. I will also always use something that has some close mic'd plucked instruments to get an idea about transient attack.
Yeah. And decays.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then I want to evaluate separation of instruments and soundstage styles, so I'll play something that's got a wonderfully defined soundstage that's been recorded very well in that regard.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then, you know, by the time I assess those characteristics, I would have also probably been able, given the musical material, also been able to touch high frequency extension and low frequency extension. I would have probably had enough information by then. So I guess my favorite one for masked strings is the Ansermet's, the Royal Ballet. I don't know why, I mean, I could pick from many different ones to use, but I love that one.
Well, and you've been using it, so you're familiar with it. Yes. That's really important.
Yes, and I've heard it on so many different systems, so many different times.
Yeah, so. I'm that way too. I've got lots of favorites, but then I'll pull out Martha by the Beatles. Dear Martha, it's got.
Oh, really?
It starts out with piano. Well, piano's awesome.
Yes.
It's got everything in it.
Yeah.
Harmonics and attacks and decays and transients and you know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And voicing and it's just, for me, that's a good thing to start out with because it tells me a lot, like you know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at not necessarily cutting, but just, you know, and then it adds vocal. and then drums and guitar and bass and then strings and then horns, you know? And so it's recorded decently, but it was recorded back in 1968.
Yeah.
And I've heard it on hundreds of systems since then. So anyway, I have a reference, you know?
Well, you know, I have a very, very high threshold of self-doubt. So I don't put too much, I am careful about how much credence I put on what I think a cartridge sounds like. And I know that sounds perhaps counterintuitive to a guy who gets to hear lots of cartridges. But I truly believe there's a powerful psychogenic response that we can hear what we want to hear. And I'm always suspicious about that part of myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and also filling in what you're familiar with too. This is what it's supposed to sound like, so you are anticipating and expecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me there is very little in cartridge technology that's coming out these days that makes me excited enough to listen to something new. Just because something's high priced.
Right. Oh yeah.
Isn't enough.
But there is that.
Well, that's a different technology, and that is worthwhile, right?
Yes.
That is worthwhile. But so if the improvements, if the difference doesn't slap me in the face within several bars of music, I stop looking for differences because it's been too long now. I'm going to start filling in. I fear that I'm going to start filling in the blanks where there are nothing. There's no blanks. There are no blanks to fill in.
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up because I'm the same way. I'll spend a few seconds. That's all I need. You know. I don't know why people will spend. You know, when they're doing like evaluations or ABs or something like that, they'll listen for minutes at a time. There's no way.
I just think the risks increase. Because you're searching, you're starting to grapple, looking for something to hold on to. You'll find it, whether it's there or not. And I don't trust that in most of us. It's a psychogenic response.
Well, I think a trained ear too. I mean, you've got that training, you've got that experience, and you just don't need to study it. You just know. You don't need to deep dive into it. You know right away. You know what the quality is. You don't need to examine it. It's right there. You know. If you don't have that ear, if you don't have that experience, then I understand. But
Wally used to say before going to evaluate, going on to say to a friend's house or something to evaluate anything, he'd always show up and say, "I took my Sudafed." And what he's trying to say is that I relieved the pressure that might exist behind my ears, so I'm ready to listen.
My ears. I mean, everybody, like I think anything, you've got rituals and to make yourself prepared, you know, ready, clear. So what would you say, a couple of questions, what would you say is the biggest myth regarding analog playback?
Oh, God. I gotta pick one?
I know. No, you don't have to pick one. You can, you know, if you can't pick one.
The one that irritates me the most is when people talk about raising and lowering the arm and call that changing VTA.
Okay.
Technically, it is changing VTA and SRA, but that's not what you hear. And it irritates me because people think that what they're hearing is a change in VTA. And why does it, you're hearing a change in vector forces, multiple vector forces. But why does it irritate me? Here's why it irritates me. Because most people think that as you lower the arm, that's what they're really saying, lower VTA, lowering the arm too far down, then you get bass heavy and bass abundant and it gets muddy. And that's what most people hear. By the way, that whether you hear that condition or not depends on where the center of gravity is of the arm relative to the horizontal pivot. But anyway, most people have experienced that. Well, that's then people think, well, too low VTA sounds like that. No, VTAs are 9 degrees on average too high to start.
To begin
we know this. We know this because we know how lacquers are cut. And we know on average, because I've analyzed several hundred of them, where actual playback VTAs are. And there's a 9-degree difference between where they are and where they really should be. And so people will think, well, JR can't be right because I lowered my arm and it got crappy sound, it got muddy sounding and bass heavy. Yes, you changed VTA, but that's not what you heard. Other things, myths, the 8 hertz lower limit for system resonance between
In
the
an
cartridge and arm, cartridge arm spring system, the 8 hertz lower limit, has to die a hard death. It is keeping us from getting better sound, from getting better performance from our cartridges, because it's predicated on the assumption that we have to live with warps and that we have to live with turntables that aren't sufficiently isolated from low frequency excitation, which is why we use EVPs, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, you drop those two assumptions, the warps and the low frequency noise, mechanical noise, now you can change tone arm design, and for the better.
Yeah, okay. All right, and the next question is, of all the Wally tools available, what's the best one? What's the most important one?
Wally Skater. Yeah.
All right, explain why.
The Wally Skater measures horizontal forces in an arm. Well, horizontal forces, but we use it on tone arms, right? And there are 3 times during setup that you would use it. And I won't go to all 3, you can watch the videos, right? But what I have found, and it's very consistent, when somebody calls me or emails me and says, hey, I'm just not happy with the sound of my turntable, and I'll ask, what is the issue? And they could give several different conditions that they hear. 80 to 90% of the time, it's a tone arm problem. Not a cartridge alignment problem, but a tone arm problem. The horizontal forces are out of control, either too much or not enough anti-skating, or the arm has high static friction. So the Wally Skater measures all of
both.
that.
Yeah.
So it's remarkable how many systems have been saved just by measuring that and responding to it by relieving those forces.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Wally Skater. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Anything else we need to cover?
Oh, geez, you won't be able to stop me if we keep going. There's a lot.
This is pretty short. We could go longer. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything in particular that you need to plug or that you should plug?
Well, you know, I'm not sure if I mentioned we've got this paper coming that we're writing right now for the Journal of Audio Engineering Society, and finally writing it, and it's going to. I also mentioned that we've been making research lacquers, which we're now making records out of the lacquers too, both pressing records and injecting records, which is the process done in Germany at a special location. And out of this, and out of this will come a product that is going to do a remarkable number of tests that have never been done before, to allow us to improve and understand our playback system. Like for example,
great.
Yeah, for example, WoW and Flutter has never been a helpful figure for me. It's a relative percentage that tells us that there are problems, but there are many things that can constitute that percentage. But that we found, we have a high degree of confidence that we can actually take the parts apart, and we can see that the parts that constitute WoW and Flutter, like for example, let's say an eccentric pulley that's driving the belt, bearing precession, an eccentric subplatter that's being driven by the belt. You know, we found evidence that we can actually see into these parts so that we know what to aim for, or at very least we can establish today's state of our drive system, and then a year later take the measurements again and see if anything's deteriorated. Right? That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of really exciting things coming down.
Like, you know, in noise control of any kind, there's usually multi-paths, and often there's multi-sources. And so you've got a lot that needs to be addressed, and they're going to have to be addressed in different ways by by different means. So and
in WoW and Flutter figure has always pretty much been a dead end. Oh, I got that percentage.
So there you go.
That's not very good compared to the rest. What do I do with it?
Right.
I don't know. No, we want to know what to do with it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else that we need to cover? There was something on my mind, and now I don't remember what it was. Been a long day.
Yeah.
I don't recall. Okay. All right. Well, we'll end it. We'll end it there.
It wasn't about tone arms. It wasn't about cartridge companies. It wasn't about new technology.
What's the next product that's going to be out? Is that going to be it, or is it going to be something else? You've got a
yeah. Well, I don't know. I've got one product ready to go. I've already got inventory, but I'm too busy to let the world know about it.
Okay.
That's a significant upgrade to the Kuzma head shell.
Okay.
Called the Colossus. And then you've seen the prototype for the Wally Loop, which is a new magnifying glass to look at.
Yeah,
the cantilever.
That's going to be great to work with.
Yeah. I won't touch anything else anymore. The thing is so helpful. You can see underneath a koetsu.
Yeah.
Or even worse than a koetsu is a Soundsmith strain gauge.
Oh, yeah.
Soundsmith strain gauge
just
might be the most invisible. Yeah, most invisible. But now we can see it. We can see it. And
cool.
And then Wally Analytics is the next big one. Oh, Wally Analytics. That's a bigger. Talk more about that.
Yeah.
That's. I'm so excited for Wally Analytics.
That is going to be fantastic for everybody.
In fact, it will have an application. It will have a utility for recording engineers and tone arm manufacturers and turntable manufacturers and cartridge manufacturers for that matter. Yeah, but it'll be. There's so many different tests to create, so we'll make them on an iterative basis. Okay, we've got these tests out. Okay, now we've got these tests out. So it won't all be at once. It'll be okay. We'll start with these couple, and then we'll keep adding them.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds great. All right, thanks, JR. Appreciate it.
Always good to spend time with you, Norman.
Always, it's fun.